We're gonna get into our match reviews for this evening. We are starting with a match review from Uilskieken. I don't know how to say that correctly. My apologies. You have a little bit over 1,100 hours in the game. You split up your hours between Survivor and Killer. You appear to have played more Survivor than you have Killer, but around 1,000 hours, I typically expect people to be able to know their DBD fundamentals. And even though you spent most of your hours on Survivor, it still informs your gameplay better. Either way, you've been playing DBD for a while, so you should have your fundamentals down. You should have a good understanding of the game. You're playing Springtrap, who is kind of agreed upon by most people to be like a low B minus, high C tier character. Springtrap has a lot of utility in their axe, and their orbitals can be really, really cool. But that also, just the nature of orbitals kind of make them naturally inconsistent, because the axe, for better or worse, is fairly accurate. So if a survivor moves slightly to the left or slightly to the right, that suddenly means your orbital misses, and that's where a lot of your utility is. So that's kind of where Springtrap suffers a lot. Also, your doors, which you use to like pop out and sneak up on survivors, literally tell the survivor that you're coming through if they're looking at the door panel. So besides being map traversal, they also kind of rat you out. So yeah, the character is kind of in this middling, underwhelming zone, but they are getting buffed tomorrow at the time of recording, so that's pretty cool. You are playing on Midwich, which is a fairly killer side of map. Kind of the main thing you have to worry about on Midwich is the W keying down the hallways, but otherwise the loops are fairly weak. And you can actually take advantage of some of your stealth here as Springtrap, because even if they don't see the door panel, you can get some value on your undetectable without the wide lines of sight. So let's take a look at your add-ons and your perks. Okay, so in terms of your add-ons, you are running Endo CPU, which increases the speeds for breaking and damaging by 40% while you're traveling through the area effect of the fire axe. And then you are running Foxy's Hook, which is one of my favorite add-ons. This gives you 7% haste when you pass through the area effect of the axe as well. These are good picks. Nothing really bad to tell you about. The here you have multiple good choices here. Some other things you could run Restaurant Menu, which is increased cooldown if you miss and it lands in the environment. Bonnie's Guitar Strings, which gives you the auras of gens in terms of their gen progression intensity when you're traveling through the doors. But like I said, these two are absolutely fine. In terms of your build, it looks like you're doing like a obsession roulette without Rancor, and you're using batteries to get a little bit extra speed to, funnel into furtive. This is a fun build. If you want to run this, in terms of like gathering haste, I would actually recommend Celebrate Poster, which is when you stick the axe into a survivor's back, you get 12% haste and increase your vault speed by 20%. So if you're looking for speedy obsession build, there is an add-on that's perfect for that. So I would recommend switching out that. The build isn't bad per se. It's just that like you don't have slowdown, you don't have a lot of info, so you're gonna have really, really quick chases and have a general good macro sense on where people are. I will say that Nemesis, the perk on characters like Xenomorph, like Springtrap, that shoot over pallets a lot, means you get stunned less, which kind of limits the use of that perk. So but I get that it's supposed to flow into the rest of your build, so just a heads up there. But I'm gonna take a look at the actual match. Yeah, unfortunately this is about as loud as I can get it, chat. The volume that was recorded at is like barely audible. I feel like I've got it to a spot with you guys where you can hear it fairly okay, but I can't. So okay, so you check around, you find somebody fairly soon. Good shot. Hey, kind of got a band or something. Bruh! Your favorite off-brand food? I don't know. I don't really think about it a whole lot. I kind of buy off-brand like everything. Why did you... Yeah, I would just keep playing. I know it was fun to do the meme, but I would just keep playing. Pretty good shot. You're doing pretty well early on. I'm wondering how this doesn't go your way. A lot of early pressure. Okay, bait out the drop. We're gonna call the axe whenever you want. Okay, you went for a style shot. I would have went for it too. Didn't quite work out, but that's okay. The problem is that she is now going to get haste from Foxy's, so yeah. You can shoot through this little area to your left. I know it's easier said than done though. Good job though. Yeah, sorry chat that this is extremely quiet. I don't think that makes sense. You know, with some of them like fast track and play, that's really fast. Only that's you playing poorly. I think they probably just have deja vu or something. Make gens go quicker. I think the sound is fine. Yeah, it's far louder for you guys than me though. Like I've cranked it on OBS, but I can't make it louder on my end, so it's almost muted. It's like I'm listening to it from another room. I will say early on here, I know you're trying to get value out of your build, but you're kind of like spreading your hooks a lot. And if you have caught the wind that they are doing the gens really quickly, it may not be in your best interest to spread hooks. They already have the patch notes of what they're doing. You can just go check it out from the PTB.
You belong.
Why are you going wide here if she's behind you? You could have gone through the classrooms. You're trying to sneak up on her. So this is where I'm confused, because this is what I'm talking about. It's like, I can understand if you're trying to go for like obsession value, but in that case you should chase Michaela. You're literally just like trying to be like super nice and like, I feel like that shit him. I feel like that went through his head. You're just trying to hook everybody fairly, which is going to hurt you. Big time. You don't really have a build that you can mess around with and chill on. This is a for fun build. Meaning that if you want to win, you should ideally be more locked in, not less. And like I was pointing out earlier, with no info, your macro's got to be like tip top, or else you're gonna have a hard time finding people. You spend a lot of downtime just kind of going in between doors and having no clue where people are. It's just not good. I would not have called the axe that early. This is like a very common like Springtrap mistake I see a lot of people do. Is it like you realistically don't want the axe back until you're ready to make the throw, because when you have the axe in hand, you're 110 speed, and when you don't have the axe, you're 115. So realistically, until you're ready to make the shot, you should keep the axe out of your hand. It even gets to the point where like when I'm playing Springtrap, I will literally like throw the axe randomly just to, you know. That was a good attempt. I'll throw the axe to get it out of my hand just so I'll have extra speed. Yeah, they shouldn't realistically be doing that, Marcelina, because they had 2 gens proc extremely quickly. So the expectation should already be there that like, okay, these guys are a little bit more locked in. I should be also locking in, but they're still kind of playing with the same kind of like devil may care kind of playstyle, even though they saw 2 gens go early. Yeah, this is almost done. I usually wouldn't advise that, but she's stuck. Like kicking a gen before starting a chase, but she's slowly stuck in a corner. She can't go anywhere. How did you do that? I don't know why. I just... Yeah, I think honestly, the main thing I'm seeing here is you played far too nice. They kind of showed you early on that they were playing a little bit harder, and you kind of didn't react to it. And just kind of kept trying to hook as many different survivors as possible. Not even following around your obsession like you should have with your obsession build. Which kind of means that like 3 of your perks were doing nothing. If you have an entire build focused around chasing the obsession and you just don't do it, you're putting a bunch of your perks on cooldown. Meaning you played this game mostly with batteries included and nothing else. I say I would just camp here. No reason to go anywhere else. Oh, that's unfortunate. SPD patch notes, yeah. It's funny. It's like I just fixed that. Yeah, I wouldn't take the bait here. Don't take the bait. Yeah. Oh, that's rough. That's rough. That's rough.
Go on.
You could have maybe chased Leon. Leon's exposed. He was kind of out of position. I understand you want another kill, but I don't think you get there before she gets out, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, you took it wide too, so she definitely 100% gets out. Dude, endurance being 15 seconds is criminal. There's no reason that should be a thing. Yeah, toolbox, deja vu, deja vu. Yeah, I'm seeing the usual suspects. That's probably kind of why, what did I say? I was like, I feel like there's some deja vu at play. In terms of your main takeaways, the first one, honestly, and this is the biggest one, you played extremely nice when you couldn't afford to. I'm not saying playing nice, period, is bad, but typically you want to play nice when you're ahead, or like just like you're not feeling a lot of pushback for the team. The moment those 2 gens went for your first like initial opening into this match, you should have been like, oh, okay, there's gen perks in play, or they're just playing really efficiently, and then you should have locked in. However, instead of locking in, you kind of continued to play, like I said, in the middle of this, like a devil may care attitude where you're like, eh, and it kind of came back to bite you. So like DBD, a lot of the time you don't have to like super sweat to win. You just kind of have to match the energy of the people that you're facing, and they showed you very early on that they're a team that's gonna do gens quick and heal quick, so you have to adjust your playstyle to react, and you kind of didn't, and that's where your main downfall was, especially when you were like, oh, I'm gonna randomly go chase Leon, even though Michaela's at the end of the hallway with like highlighted in a big bright red aura. I'm just like, I'm gonna go chase the 4th guy that has no hooks for some reason. I think the next thing, and this is another big thing that hurt you, is 3 of your perks are tied to obsession related stuff, which is fine, but you really didn't chase your obsession a whole lot, which kind of makes it to where these perks are basically doing nothing. And I would never recommend somebody to like run into a match with just batteries included. But that's kind of how you played, because you weren't really motivated to, despite running an obsession build, to hunt down the obsession. So it just kind of meant that you were playing without perks for the most part, which puts you up a creek without a paddle pretty badly. Your chases were fine. Your chases were usually pretty quick. The only thing I could say is like the final takeaway is you go for some really overly ambitious shots. And while it's not bad, you were going for them like near the end of the game when you were already losing by a kind of a wide margin. So that is like, typically if you want to go for like a skilled shot or like a hype shot, typically you do that once again while you're ahead, when you can afford to kind of like miss a shot like that and still be fine. You were losing by a lot and we're still like wasting time going for wild like Hail Mary shots. So I would try to preferably go for those when you're a bit ahead, you can afford to waste some time. But that during that juncture of the match, you really had to like pick up the pace, and you were still like, what if I hit through this top window of Midwich? That'd be so sick. Yes, it would be, but not right now. So it was a combination of all those things that made that match rough for you.